The Champions League is back! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, whoever you are watching this video, the Champions League is finally back. And in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my predictions for the first match day in the playoff games. Now, you guys may be wondering why you're wearing a tie. And to be honest, I felt like it. Life's too short not to wear a tie for the video. So I thought I'll dress up a little bit and I'll put on a tie for this video. And the $50 Amazon gift card giveaway is still going on. And I've changed the rules because in the league phase, it seemed very hard for a lot of people to get 4 exact score lines. So I'm going to make it a little bit easier. You have to get 3 exact score lines. So leave all your predictions down below. And if 3 of your predictions are exactly correct and you're the first one to predict the right predictions, you will win the $50 Amazon card. As always, remember to like and comment on the video and be sure to subscribe to the channel as I'm almost at 7,000 subscribers and I can't do it without you guys. But without further ado, let's get right into these predictions. Jeez. I'm never wearing a tie again. Starting off with the first match, we have Galatasaray against Juventus. This is going to be a very interesting match in my opinion because I do think that Juventus are the better team. And if you look at Juve in recent months, other than a few poor results under Luciano Spalletti, they've been playing much better. Their squad looks incredible. Their attackers like Kenan Yildiz, Jonathan David, and some of the other attackers are finally shining. And if you look at their midfield, especially Weston McKennie, he's been balling out in the Champions League. But Galatasaray playing at home is a very tough match. And I was saying it throughout the whole league phase that Galatasaray are a really strong team. Yes, we did see them suffer a few defeats. We saw that most recent loss against Man City where they lost 2-0, but that was away from home. When they're playing in Turkey, it's very rare that they lose. If you look at Galatasaray in the Super League, they currently sit in first place, and after 21 games, they've only lost 1 match. They've won 16 and they drew 4. Now, surprisingly, Fenerbahce sit behind them and Fenerbahce still haven't lost a game. But with that being said, Galatasaray have been the best team in the Turkish league. And one thing that I've really been impressed with Galatasaray is, yes, they've suffered from multiple injuries this season, especially to some of their attackers. But with that being said, you saw them go out in the winter transfer window and sign Noah Lang on loan from Napoli. I think this is a brilliant signing. I think Noah Lang is an incredible player. And with some of these added players to an already very good attack, I think this will be a very tough game for Juve. With this game being played in Turkey and Galatasaray having the advantage, I'm going to predict that this game will end in a 2-2 draw. Moving on to the next match, we have Benfica against Real Madrid. If you guys don't remember the last time these clubs did face off, it was in the last match day in the league phase, and it was an incredible match by Benfica. They could have scored 5 or 6 goals, but at the end of the day, they were leading 3-2 and they needed a last minute goal to move into the knockout stages. And what happened? Their goalkeeper, Chubin, scored a header in the 98th minute. It was scenes, absolutely mental. Everyone ran on the pitch. It was one of the craziest ends to a match I've ever seen in my life. But with that being said, can Benfica do it again? Can Benfica beat Real Madrid? In my opinion, I just don't see it happening. Yes, Real Madrid have had a lot of struggles this season. Obviously, their attack looks very good. But in the midfield, we've seen some struggles. And defensively, they've been really struggling. They've had loads of injuries. And some of the players that they brought in to replace some of the injured players, like, for example, Raul Asensio, this guy is horrible. He gets a red card in almost every single game he plays. And Real Madrid's defense just looks completely chaotic and an absolute shambles. But Benfica do have a few problems on their hands that could prevent them from winning this game. And one of those problems is their injuries. They currently have a lot of injuries to many different players on the pitch, from their attackers, midfielders, and also defenders. They've really struggled with injuries in recent weeks. But on top of that, they also miss so many chances. If you look at one of their star players in Pavlidis, yes, he already has 19 goals in the Liga Portugal, but it could easily be double that. He misses so many chances, especially in the Champions League. And some of the other players, like Shelderup, for example, is a very young player, has a lot of talent, but at the same time, doesn't always have the best decision making. I think this is going to be a very high scoring game and a very entertaining game as well. But with that being said, I'm going to predict Real Madrid to win this game 3-2. Moving on to the next match, we have Borussia Dortmund against Atalanta. I think this is a very tough game to predict because in my opinion, Atalanta at the current moment are playing better football than Borussia Dortmund. I feel like Borussia Dortmund have a few problems, including their struggle to score. Obviously, players like Guirassy haven't been the best this season, and even some of their other attackers haven't really been scoring the goals that they need. But on top of that, their manager, Niko Kovac, I feel like is really rotating the lineup. I feel like he hasn't found his best lineup. He's starting many different players in different games that they play. And for that reason, I'm just not that convinced with this Borussia Dortmund team. Whether it's rotations from their defensive players, their midfielders, or even some of their attackers, I think this will be a very tough game for Borussia Dortmund against Atalanta. But with that being said, Borussia Dortmund are playing at home. This first game is being played at Signal Iduna Park, and we all know how crazy the Borussia Dortmund fans are. Their fans are some of the best in the Bundesliga. Their stadium is one of the toughest stadiums to go to and win in the Bundesliga, and for that reason, they will always have an advantage over Atalanta. I think this game could definitely end in a draw, but I'm actually going to go with Borussia Dortmund to get the win. It may be unexpected, but with that being said, I'm going to predict Borussia Dortmund to win this game 2-1. Moving on to the next game, we have Monaco against PSG. Bro, we always see when PSG come up against another French team, they absolutely batter them. Do you remember what happened last season? PSG were coming up against Brest in the first round, and they completely destroyed them. I think on aggregate, it was like 10-1 or something. PSG will destroy Monaco. Yes, I know we already saw this matchup in the Liga, and Monaco actually beat PSG 1-0. But come on, let's be realistic. PSG will destroy Monaco in this game. PSG have some amazing players. Their attack, their midfield have been fantastic. And yes, defensively, they maybe don't look as resolute as they did last season. I'm going to predict a 4-1 win for PSG. Moving on to the next game, we have Qarabag against Newcastle. Like I said so many times in the league phase, Qarabag are one of those teams where they can beat some of the best teams in the world. But at the same time, in their recent Champions League match, they lost 6-0 against Liverpool. So with that being said, they are still a pretty inconsistent team. But with the home advantage, I 100% have them scoring in this game. Yes, Newcastle are a good team, but in the Premier League, they haven't looked that good this season. They haven't been that convincing, and they've been very inconsistent, especially in terms of their defense. But for some reason, I still feel like Newcastle will win this game. And Newcastle in their last 5 matches have only won 1 match. They haven't been that good. But if you look at their team and you look at Bruno Guimaraes in the midfield, he has been by far the best player for them this season. He's been incredible. He's already scored almost 10 goals in the Premier League, gotten another 4 assists, and he is carrying this team on his back. I'm going to predict Newcastle to win this game 2-1, and I think that Bruno Guimaraes will once again score another goal. Moving on to the next game, we have Bodo Glimt against Inter Milan. Bodo Glimt are another one of those teams where they can shock some of the best teams in the world. And in the last 2 matches in the league phase, we saw exactly that as they beat Man City 3-1. And then they go play in the Metropolitano against Atletico Madrid. And by all odds, they beat Atletico Madrid. That was an incredible match and a great performance by the Norwegian club. And I feel like this is just a testament to how Norwegian football is really building and really getting so much better in recent years, with teams like Bodo Glimt making it to the knockout stages in the Champions League, teams like Brann making it to the knockout stages in the Europa League. I think the future of Norwegian football is really promising. But Inter Milan are such a strong team this season. If you look at them in the Serie A, they are clear by multiple points now, ahead of AC Milan and ahead of Napoli. And when they're coming up against teams who aren't the best of the best, teams that have a lot of experience in this competition, Inter will demolish you. I'm sorry to say it. Whether it's in the Serie A, whether it's in the Champions League, Inter will win this game. Now, I don't think it will be a high-scoring game because playing in Norway is very difficult. They play on the AstroTurf. It's a very cold climate. So I do think Inter Milan will struggle, but I still think they will win this game. So for that reason, I'm going to predict a 1-0 win for Inter Milan. Moving on to the next game, we have Club Brugge against Atletico Madrid. This is actually going to be a very big surprise for some people because I think that Club Brugge are actually the favorites in this match against Atletico Madrid. I haven't been convinced with Atletico Madrid recently. You look at some of their attackers like Julian Alvarez, and he hasn't scored in I don't know how many games. He hasn't scored in so many games. He's not performing to the level that they need, and for that reason, they're struggling. Recently, we saw Atletico Madrid beat Real Betis 5-0, which was an incredible result. But then, the game after, they lost to them 1-0. We saw them draw 0-0 against Levante. We saw them lose 2-1 against Bodo Glimt at home. Atletico Madrid have not been good recently. And when you look at Club Brugge, they finished in 19th place in the league phase and they scored more goals than majority of other teams that finished in a similar position as them. Their scoring ability is incredible. They're attackers, they're wingers, they have the pace, they have the energy, they have the young talent, and they can really hurt most teams in the world. With that being said, this is going to be my biggest upset of the playoffs, where I think that Club Brugge will beat Atletico Madrid 3-1, and going into the second match day, Club Brugge will have a big advantage. And finally, the last match is Olympiacos against Bayer Leverkusen. Now, we did actually see this exact matchup in the 7th match day of the league phase, and surprisingly, Olympiacos beat Bayer Leverkusen 2-0. Now, in my opinion, I will admit that Bayer Leverkusen, I think, are the better team, but Olympiacos playing at home look like a pretty underrated team, and it's definitely not a good idea to underestimate them. Two players that you cannot underrate on Olympiacos team, Mehdi Taremi and Ayoub El Kabi. Both of these players have been balling out for them this season. Ayoub El Kabi already having 13 goals in the Greek Super League, and Taremi already having 10. Together, 23 goals in their first 20 matches in Olympiacos is phenomenal. They're scoring either one or the other in every single game they play. And with that being said, it's going to be very tough for a Bayer Leverkusen side who defensively haven't been the best this season. This is going to be a very close match in my opinion. I think Olympiacos with the home advantage will be able to score, but like I already said, I do think Bayer Leverkusen are the better team. So with that being said, I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw. And that's the end of this video. Those were my Champions League predictions for the first leg games in the playoff stage. If you guys agree with my predictions, remember to leave a comment down below. But if you disagree with my predictions, remember to leave your predictions in the comments. And if you get at least 3 correct score lines, you could win a $50 Amazon card. As always, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more videos.